AFC West predictions. Here we go. For those of you who are new here, we always start at 4 or the bottom of any list and go up towards the top. So we will, of course, start with 4 here. And we kind of mentioned this a little bit in the first segment if you watched that. But number 4, the Las Vegas Raiders. To me, first of all, I'm not sure if Jimmy G plays. And even if he does, is he going to give me a full season, right? And even if he does give me a full season, are we sure he's still... Because I thought Jimmy G in what we would call his prime in San Francisco was a top 12 to 15 quarterback. I'm not sure he still is anymore.
Yeah.
If you include the fact that he is injury prone, I would argue he is not top 15 anymore. He's probably not a top half quarterback at this stage in his career with the injuries piling up. I like Devontae Adams, but he's not completely happy. We know that wide receivers get a little diva-esque. Can the locker room kind of fracture? I would also point out that despite his offensive prowess, Josh McDaniels as a head coach has not been very successful. I mean, he drafted Tebow. That didn't work out.
No.
He's now run off Derek Carr. He seems a bit abrasive, especially for a culture in not only the world, but in sports specifically, that is a little bit more nurturing, I would say. I mean, yes, you can have some tough love, but like the days of just saying screw the star are just completely over.
You have to take care of yourself.
I'm not sure he gets that and plays to that, despite being a little bit on the younger side. So to me, the Raiders are the most unstable organization in the division, especially ownership, coach, quarterback, the whole way down. So I will put them at 4.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Plus, you look at the fact that Vegas has been super noisy. There's been a lot of noise that has come out of that franchise in the last 2 seasons, and that's not. We talk about it a lot.
2 seasons. Not the last 32 seasons.
I guess, yeah. That's not the recipe for success in this league. You don't hear noise coming out of the Kansas City camp. You don't hear noise coming out of the Steelers camp for the most part ever.
Yeah,
it's a well-run organization.
Up until this point with Stephon Diggs, Buffalo, same way.
Exactly. So those big teams and organizations, franchises that are going to go a long way and that are going to be really good in the season generally don't carry noise with them.
And I will say, so kind of a little pivot here back to the NFC West for a second. That's why I think the Rams are going to be a lot better than people think. Haven't heard of Pete.
Yeah.
Haven't heard of Pete.
In
Good quarterback, good coach. Haven't heard of Pete. In Los Angeles.
LA.
Just throwing it out there.
You don't see that too often.
Just throwing it out there. Number 3 here, the Denver Broncos. To me, I think they're a 10-win team. I think it feels about right. So I think that they had, 5 wins last year. One team every year doubles their win total. To me, Denver feels like that's the team to do it. Look, you're going to get a Hall of Fame coach. There's no way Russell Wilson is going to be as bad as he was last year. Javonte Williams comes back. Cluster injuries on the offensive line. There's just no way it could happen again. Same thing at wide receiver, right? You get Tim Patrick back. Jerry Jeudy's healthy. Cortland Sutton's healthy. So they have a very good wide receiver room. Again, injuries derailed last season. I know that Russ didn't play well. Hackett was a mess. But injuries were also a huge part of that. They had a bunch of contributors that were just, quite frankly, not able to play.
Yeah.
I do worry a little bit about the pass rush. It's a little underwhelming. But I think Pat Surtain at corner, we'll talk about him in a little bit here, is going to be a top corner in the league. So I think a 10-win team feels right. They'll vie for the 6th and 7th seed in the playoffs. It'll come down to probably the last week or 2 of the season to me.
First of all, do you think that it's possible that Russell Wilson has another very, very down year? And the second follow-up to that, if he does, what do you do? Do you get rid of him? Because now, if he does, now that's 2 years.
The contract is unmovable. It's so bad.
So you're just stuck with him.
Well, no. That's the nice thing about the NFL is, yes, there's dead cap money, but for a year or 2, right? So you can get out of it.
So do you see him being this bad?
I don't see him being... I don't think he returns to 106 pass rating like he was in Seattle. Best deep ball throw. I don't think he returns to
maybe
that
90,
form.
90.
Can he get me to 92? Like Aaron Rodgers last year was 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, completed 64% of his throws, and had a 91 pass rating.
Yeah. Can
he be... And that's fairly average. Can he be a top 15 quarterback? He was 25th last year. Could it be 15? Could be 13? I think so.
And if that's too much.
If that's the case, they win at least 8 games. At least.
Now, if he's terrible, what do they do?
I don't know. That's a discussion. That's a discussion if that happens.
Yeah,
I guess.
I just don't know because they've kind of backed themselves into a corner here with Russ. I feel like if it doesn't work for them, they are screwed.
I think that's why they went all in on Sean Payton. You know what I mean? That's why they gave up a first-round pick for Sean Payton. You have to go all in for a coach that's going to make Russ not a total failure. Because if so,
fair.
I hate to say, like, if your quarterback's a failure, your organization's a failure, but I mean,
It's pretty true.
look around the league.
It's pretty true.
You know what I mean? All right, number 2 here, Los Angeles Chargers. 12-5, 11-6, 12-5. We went 12-5. I could see 11-6. I don't think they're a 13-win team. I think 12-5 is about the ceiling. If you think 11-6, you're probably a little bit skeptical on Kellen Moore. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he's worth a win in just himself as the offensive coordinator. I mean, look, with Justin Herbert and all that talent last year, they were a bottom 5 team in the second half offensively. There's just no excuse for it. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert, big arm, can move, smart kid. Like, there's no reason that offense with Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, they had Quentin Johnson. They have a good offensive line now that they've revamped it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Once they get a bunch of players back healthy, it'll be even better. There's no excuse that should be a bottom 5 second half offense. Yeah. I think Kellen Moore is going to change that. Defense gets, hopefully J.C. Jackson's back, healthy, focused. Khalil Mack's going to be back and healthy. Joey Bosa comes back. It's a talented defense. Can they put it all together? They were somewhere around 20 last year. Can they put it together enough to be 14? Because if so, I think it's a 12-win team. With Kellen Moore, new weapons on the offensive side, if the defense can get up to top half of the league, I think it's a 12-win team.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things with Kellen Moore is he's going to bring offensive structure. That's what you need. So you have the pieces.
And identity.
Yes, and you have the pieces, and you have the talent. But can we stop missing on 4th down attempts? Can we maybe kind of curb that a little bit? Maybe take some shots and some risks for sure, but in more calculated times. Just
I think that's fair.
Let's not just go out and play backyard football. This is the NFL at the end of the day, and you're not going to try to get your franchise quarterback hurt. Because what is Justin Herbert doesn't quit. There's no quit in Justin Herbert. So when it's 4th and 2. And it's not there. He's going to try to take it. Yeah. He's going to try to take it himself. Very Josh Allen-esque.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the frame and the size exactly of a Josh Allen.
He's big. He's not quite the athlete of Josh.
He's not built like Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's not quite the athlete.
So it just worries me a bit, and I think Kellen Moore is going to be able to stabilize that.
I couldn't agree more. And number 1, again, we touched on this in the first segment as well.
Yeah.
Until further notice, the Chiefs are the top and the class act of the division.
Until I see otherwise.
Look, Andy Reid, I think he's the best coach in football right now. You can't argue me that he's any lower than 3.
Yeah.
I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. I'm not sure I hear an argument for even him being 2. I know Joe Burrow is great. Does he have 2 rings? No. Does he have an MVP? No. Does he have a Super Bowl MVP? No. Right? Can he throw off platform? Kind of, but not to the level of Mahomes.
Not right? Like Mahomes can.
Is he as consistent as Mahomes? No. So watch him play against TJ Watt. Right? Like, I like Burrow. I think he's probably number 2. But I think there is a significant gap between number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think Mahomes is that guy. Like, I'm done trying to be trendy and play around and say, oh, but it could be the Broncos here. No, like, the Chiefs are going to win this division. They have the best coach in football. They have the best tight end in football. They have the best quarterback in football. They have the best GM in football. They have a top 3 ownership group in football. Like, that is the class of the league.
Yes.
Until further notice, the Chiefs are my number 1 pick for the division. They're 13-4. You could argue me into 14-3. You could argue me into 12-5. They win a tiebreaker with Los Angeles. Either way, they're going to be a very good football team. They're going to win the division.
They're winning the division.
Mahomes is going to vie for the MVP. Andy Reid's going to vie for Coach of the Year. They're going to be number 1 of the 2 seed. They're going to make a playoff run. It's what does Ken Murphy say? It's like drinking Dr. Pepper at this point. I just do it, right? It's just what the Chiefs are going to do. I have no doubt. There's your division.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And like we kind of joked about, I brought it up before we started here. When we were going back and forth saying, you don't we're not moving the Chiefs out of first until we see them actually realistically fall out of first in real life.
I'm willing to be wrong for a year with the Chiefs being worse than I think, than actually try to lie to myself and say they're going to make 3rd place and then be obviously wrong because they come in first like they always do.
Yeah, but even if they were to slip to a number 2 this season, next season when we're predicting this again, I still wouldn't feel comfortable having them outside of the 1 spot because I'd be like, okay, well they got 2nd last year, so I mean odds-wise they're going back
unless
first.
They lose like Travis Kelce.
Yeah, unless there's like significant changes, which I don't see that because they are a very well-run team.
As long as Pat Mahomes is there.
Run us through the list.
What's that?
Run us through the list.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, 4 the Raiders at 5-12. Number 3 the Denver Broncos 10-7. Number 2 the Los Angeles Chargers at 12-5. And of course, again, the class of the league, the Kansas City Chiefs at 13-4. Rough estimate on records. Don't come at us. Probably not mathematically correct, but whatever. Just that's what we feel like they are. So that's what they're going to be.
Yeah.
All right.